All right, guys, coming on. Just have to make sure everything's going okay. 5 people watching. Hey, Ariel, talked to you yesterday. Hope everything's going on well. I'm so glad he supports you, trying to make your investments. So I'm going to come on real quick. Hey, I got something on my mind today. I just got to share it with you and help my people, help my community. We really need to shift our mindset. And sometimes we live in this society, we're inundated by these images and ideas. And I just got to tell you, they don't work for us, nor should they. We need to throw them away. It's not garbage or trash, but it sort of is if you look at the fundamentals behind it and why we just have to do things differently. We can't continue to do it the way everyone else is doing and still have such wealth disparity and not, and not get ahead the way we want to. And I want bring another tip that I've noticed since I put my house on the market. Things that might be able to help you and make you a lot of money when you do it. Hey, how you doing? Jay, Mr. Cashmatic is on. Nice to see you. This is an interesting time, 5:30, so I know it's not going to have like a ton of people on like at 6:37 in the evening when everyone's off work, but please catch the replay. So I want to talk to you about a concept of like first time home buyers, and it's not garbage, but we really need to start thinking about it. I'm just gonna say garbage. I know there's a lot of people out there, and here's the part that's garbage: not buying your first home, but buying your first home like it's a forever home until you get the home that has everything you want. And this isn't for people who live in like DC where like a house costs, $700,000. We're not talking about that. You live in a place like that, you get what you can get and you sit on it. Otherwise, you'll have to commute an hour and a half each way to go to work, right? And I lived up there, so I know what you're talking about. So it's not necessarily for that, but a lot of people are like, oh, it's our first home. We've never purchased before. They're in their 30s and 40s. And what I have to say, and this is anecdotal, but it probably resonates with you as well, most of you aren't buying your forever home when you get your first property. For whatever reason, you're buying what you can afford. And I see people wanting to, unless this all starts with me, I placed my house on the market. When I purchased my house, it was worth $205,000. Now we paid less, right? But it was worth 205. It was just undervalued since we bought a foreclosure. And when we purchased it, we went right next to like the lowest income neighborhood that was relatively safe. And it's using the same metrics I use when I purchase a rental property. I use for my primary residence. So we could have afforded a $400,000 or $500,000 home. I just didn't want to be responsible for $2,000 to $3,000 mortgage each month, even if I could do it. I didn't want to. And a $400,000 and $500,000 home would have had everything I wanted. But this is what I did and what I suggest everyone else do because this is the way we're going to get money. So I bought a house that was worth $205,000. We paid $170,000 for it because it was undervalued, probably because it was near a black neighborhood and people get scared of, oh my gosh, and I'm like, whatever, I'm glad you're scared because I can pick up a good house and be a good landlord or whatever. So my own primary residence, we went to like the area of town that didn't have the highest values, and like right next to the part of town that was like the lowest, we went right next to it, right, the lowest price part of town. We went the street over, right? And I used the same metrics. I made sure that the mortgage was going to be the mortgage was less than what the rents were going for in the neighborhood. I went to a neighborhood, $200,000 less than a double income house could afford, right? Because we're both white collar at the time. And we did all of those things and got the most modest house. And I was just thinking, if I ever have to leave, I want to be able to rent it out and make money. I don't want this to be a loss if I ever have to move. And the reality is, I haven't met one person in their 30s who hasn't moved after 4 or 5 years. Now, there's some people out there who are 32 who are going to buy a house and live in it for 30 years, but let's be real. That is not the reality in today's just today's lifestyle like it was 30 years ago. We're all over the place. We're mobile. New opportunities open up, and it's easy to just move one state over, one city over to take advantage of it. And so we really need to throw away that oh, it's my first home and it has to be perfect. No, it doesn't. Every home should be a starter home because this is what happens. So, I'm all about the low income neighborhood, but, nicer neighborhoods where you don't have to worry, nicer in the fact that, less crime, right? More well kept. Can still be low income, but it can have those other factors that can make you feel more comfortable. So if you go and you go right next to it, here's what happens. So not only is our house valued at $300,000, which is what it's on the market for, so $100K in equity. $100,000 more than what it was worth when we purchased it. So 50% appreciation in 4 years. We were able to, I actually picked a property that can be slightly modified, and we did Airbnb. We modified it by putting from the back door, we put a sliding door in so people can go straight down into the downstairs unit and not walk into our kitchen, so they have their own private space, and we made about $10,000 a year in Airbnb. I picked this house because it could be easily modified. I looked at duplexes or something that we could easily modify to make an Airbnb. Construction guy came in and $700 put a pocket door to really separate it. So not only did I make $10,000 every year for 4 years, and now we're selling it, and we still are making money because we got, even while we're showing the house, we're still getting Airbnb guests. We also got the house that was way lower than what we could have afforded. So we were already underpriced and undervalued. And what's happening now is that we're selling and we have $100K in equity. And for someone with my background and for a lot of the people I work with a lot of Black professionals who are first generation. It cannot be stated enough. We don't have backup plans the way other people in society do. The Black community in a lot of places had wealth, but no one wants to talk about the 60s race riots or eminent domain where people would deliberately go to Black areas where businesses were. You can Google this. Every major, I think there were like 200 between 1965 and 1975. They would deliberately go to like the Black Wall Streets or the Black parts of town where their businesses, and they would destroy the wealth. They would deliberately destroy our businesses. So in so many different ways, wealth just keep being stripped from our communities. Communities that helped us grow, helped enable us, employed us, right? With all the biases that we get when we go outside. So continuously wealth was stripped. So now you find myself first generation and all my colleagues and acquaintances are, and we have a little bit of money because we made it, but we still have debt and this and that. We're not going to get those large sum of monies any other way other than our properties. And so what I'm just trying to say is that if you really go strategically while using your primary residences until you get your dream home, as a source of equity, as you put your investor cap on and you get way lower than you can afford in order to get like that extra appreciation, you're just going to put yourself in a better place. So now we're looking at 100K in equity in which we're going to split or put towards another property. But the thing is that wouldn't have happened if I would have bought the $400,000 home, which actually now is worth 410. You know what I mean? Like it's in 4 years, it had 0.05% appreciation versus the house that I am had 50%, right? And that was by being strategic and not going, this is not the home I'm going to be in forever. And so at the time I was like, let's make money off of it. And and if we like this area, we will sell it one day and buy a bigger home. So I would say, and this is my advice to you guys, because I know we don't come from money. If all of us would start doing that, we're just going to have so much more to work with as far as wealth. So now I'm at the point if someone has a deal for an apartment complex and needs $50,000, well, I have it, right? But that was because I took that same investing mindset and put it towards my primary residence. So I would just implore all of you, if it's not going to be your forever home, hustle. Go to the neighborhood that's way below what you can afford. So not only do you, so us having $1,000 mortgage versus a $2,200 mortgage for our forever home. I don't even like Charlottesville like that. I hate this city. Right? So I'm glad I didn't buy something big. I bought something that made me money from day one and will make me from money on day, 400, right? And so if you go into that with that mindset, so even if you go, let's get a starter home where we can make money off of it, either in 4 years, sell it, maybe it's in the lowest part of town and everything's appreciating, or maybe you go, well, I can afford a $2,000 a month or $1,500, but why don't we get something that's $700? I know it's modest, but this isn't forever. I mean, just let alone the savings of $700 of dollars versus paying for something more expensive, let alone the appreciation that you can actually get from undervalued neighborhoods, because eventually, guess what? All these neighborhoods are going to be bought out because money talks and people are paying. And if someone doesn't, no one can tell a private citizen not to pay when the property skyrockets. But if it was going to skyrocket, I'd rather you be there to pick up 50% in equity or $100,000 after 3 to 4 years, right? And so it's a bigger conversation. I don't think that first time forever home is for us until we stack up enough cash. And you can use your primary residence as that vehicle if you're strategic out of it. And so I put my house on the market, and there's a lot of first time home buyers, and like definitely, I'm looking at them like they're crazy, but they're not investors, right? I'm like, of course you want this house. You can walk to the hospital, you can walk to UVA, you can walk here. There's a splash park like 2 minutes right there. And that they're not thinking like that. They're not thinking, oh, let me get something undervalued where if I left, I can get that, or something that can get more appreciation. They're like, oh, this is our forever home. And I'm looking at them like, girl, you are not going to stay here forever. You're not going to stay in this house forever. It should always be a starter home. It should always be starter equity. And unless you come from a lot of money and you don't need it, then that's fine. But if you come from like me and every dollar you have, you had to fight for or hustle or sacrifice to get because it didn't come from anywhere other than you, and you couldn't ask your mom and dad for a loan or your brothers and sisters, then we have to be strategic about it. And I want to see all of us leaving our first houses going, yeah, I made about 80, 90, 100,000 in equity. But you got to do that by using the same mindset that gets you to buy a rental property in this particular neighborhood versus in a 50K neighborhood versus a 100K neighborhood, going, well, let me buy this 100K house versus 200K if you're in that position, right? So that is where this came from. And, I always just want to help people, my community especially, succeed, because we can't do things the same way everyone else does. So get that dream home out of your head. Go starter investment home. So one day you have $100,000, $200,000 to put down on a property that is your dream home and still have a low payment because you were able to bring so much to the table and still take advantage of that equity. So let me see if I have any questions. And so let me tell you what's something going on. So I've been working with this couple for about 4 months. They were in Bahrain and now they're here, and just helped them get their first investment property. The bid is submitted. We're going through that, but they're also getting their own primary. And I love them because I rubbed off and they're like, yeah, we're getting a 203K loan for ours. We're looking at places. So we're looking at the ones that are all undervalued. And I'm like, yes. So not only are they going to make money from their rental property, but their home property, they're already looking for the built-in equity or the built-in appreciation or things that are undervalued. And that's how you double, just maximize and triple how much money you're going to walk away from, because in 4 or 5 years, let that time work for you versus thinking that this is the only home I'm going to have. It's not. And so I'd rather the first 2 or 3 homes you buy, you make money off of them. Preferably at least 50K each. You do that over 10, 15 years, you can be a very serious contender, not only in the real estate investing game, but in your own game. But we can't take that romantic, this is our first home, because I don't think that we don't have the privilege to just do that if we really want to get ahead, right? So like I'm saying, they all should be your starter homes, right? Unless you're doing really well, so you can do whatever. But then again, I meet people who buy $500,000 homes and then they can't invest in real estate because they're house poor. Don't do that. Just go. And then anyway, so the neighborhood I moved in I'm in the South, so like it's black neighborhoods, white neighborhoods, and train tracks, right? So I'm the black part of town, but honestly, I think that's good because I think so many of us left these communities, and I think it's good for us to start going back to it because there's just some level of helping stabilize a community with different types of people who do come back and just sort of spread that natural whatever gifts they have with the community. So I'm just gonna see if I have any questions. I see Rashana. I Facebook Live on my Facebook page. Rashana Scott, thank you. She gave me a heart. She likes what I have to say. I'm doing this on Periscope. What's going on, Periscope? Yes, people are still on Periscope. Guess you guys didn't know that. And then I'll look at YouTube to see what questions you guys might have. True. Facts. Riri said facts. College student here. I have no money and my credit is okay. Join the club. What do you recommend for someone who doesn't have the money? I mean, you need some money. I mean, be more specific. Because the answer is get money, but do you want to get started in rental property investing? Because then you could just get modest amounts of money and looking to see if you can get a house in the college area that you're going to be in for 4 years. B, that's undervalued. It doesn't cost much. If you have a W-2 or income, you could possibly get, even if it's student loans, even if it's modest, I think as long as you have 2 years history, you can get like a loan for a modest price house and rent it out to your roommates while you live on it and then sell it. And then that would be one where you do ask your mom for a little bit of help, but that isn't necessarily um, that's not if you're in college, I don't know, maybe your moms can help you do that. So that's what I would say. It's basically the same thing of what I'm saying. Be modest, start with what you can, and for your primary residence you only need 3.5% down, right? So if you find a 50, 60, $70,000 house close to campus and your monthly mortgage payments 450 or 500, well, even I could afford that working my two college jobs and seeing about qualifying that way. Habib, I don't discuss best places to buy rentals online. I have a large platform. If I mention a place, it'll be bought out in a second. And I like to make sure my clients, when we find something, they are set up for success. So, Ariel, when you buy your first home, do you have to live in it? Yeah, usually for a year. I mean, so it depends. If you have a lot of stuff, like I mean, if you would have asked me 10 years ago and I moved, I just had like a desk that I bought from Walmart for $20 or $50. I had a chair that I could throw away. And I just basically had a car full of stuff that fit in like my trunk. That's one thing. When you get older and you have more material and stuff, like you have like your antique furniture and you have like your couch that's like you paid $1,500 for this leather couch. I don't want to let it go. Then it'll be a little bit harder to move around. So just keep that in mind, right? Cincinnati's fine. You still have to go block to block, otherwise it doesn't work. And it's scary for some people, scary for others, Because I work with my clients, we just try to, and I don't know, when I say scary, I'm just like, I work with some clients and, they want the low price tag, but they don't want to go in any neighborhood that has any sort of crime whatsoever. And it's like, raise your price tag, okay? Like, I'm not saying it's going to be a terrible place, but there's some things, as I explained in my training, that can be there and that doesn't affect your investment or longevity of your investment. All right. I hope you guys get it. If you get it, give me some hearts or likes or let me know if this makes sense. Okay, Cynthia Gross on my Facebook page says, how can we get this message to the folk already living in these communities to buy and increase their wealth as opposed to investors? I don't really have an the only thing I would want is for people like me and you who have the means to buy in these communities, because at the end of the day, not everyone wants to be a homeowner, and I'm not one of those people who say they should be. But if they're not a homeowner, I'd rather someone like me being a landlord, someone who's from the same community, from the same culture, actually cares about the people, not just trying to make money and profit off of them, but actually give back to the community in small ways as well as maintain a profitable rental property portfolio. I prefer people like us who have the means, who have $10,000, $15,000 down, go purchase in these neighborhoods and be the landlords and stewards. So if nothing else, at least someone who at least cares about the community is there and is present, and the conversation includes them versus someone else who's like, it's time to gentrify, right? Like if you tell me that, not necessarily, I'm doing fine with my properties. You can't necessarily budge me, you know what I mean? And I am understanding and aware of the concerns in our communities. And so to have someone just aware and understanding will completely change the conversation and maybe modify how it might go. So that is what I suggest. If someone does not want to own a house, don't make them, because it's a big commitment. But how about us owning in those neighborhoods? That is what we can do. Yeah, because I was talking to this one lady and she's like, everyone's telling us to own a house. I don't want to own a house, right? And I get that, right? Like, because if you ask someone to own a house and they have a foreclosure, who did that help? Because they weren't ready for that responsibility, right? And that's just something that we just need to be mindful of. Right, I got one person here on Periscope. Who's that on Periscope? Oh, is that me? Oh, that's me. There's no one on Periscope. So that's what I'd say, Cynthia. If they can't buy or don't want to or aren't in the mood, then we can. Which is basically what I teach, And let me see. Anything else? Good. All right. Brooklyn born and raised. Would you recommend a duplex for first timer? Yes. Buy your first house like it's an investment. We've been making $10K a month of our in revenue from our downstairs. Really did help when we lost our jobs at different times. And we're like, oh, well, we can make up for it. Buy that first property like it's your investment. We just don't have the luxury. And make your money at the end. It's not your... And I honestly don't know one person who's still in the same home like that they were in 4 years ago. I really don't. So this is anecdotal. Hey Joel, thank you. Sunshine, my credit's bad due to high utilization. Do I have a chance of purchasing? Do you recommend paying all debt? You know, there's a story. I was just listening to Budgetnista. That's Tiffany Aliche. I went to her event in Newark where she had a live richer home buying challenge, and she said this thing where they surveyed a group of people of different ethnicities, and black people were the one group to say the most important financial actions they're taking is paying off debt. And then they talked to other people in other communities, and every other community was like building a business, building wealth, building an investment portfolio. And so they're saying if our whole mindset of just getting to net zero is it, that doesn't work. That's why we're continuously behind. If everyone else is like, let's do that. So do you have a chance of purchasing? Probably your primary, because they have different programs like the Community Reinvestment Act. You can look and see if any of your banks, or email them to see if any of them participate, where even if you do have credit that's questionable, they look at how you pay your other items, and they actually help you through the process of getting a mortgage. And do I recommend paying off all debt? No, only the debt that is debilitating, right? So I have student loans debt, but 3%. I have a credit card debt, but it's like $50 a month. I can handle that and still invest, right? And then you can take some of the money from your investments to pay those off. Now, if I have a loan and it's like $2,000 and it's 22% interest and I can only put $50 a month, yeah, pay that one off first. And so that is the difference between people and our community, and we got to stop. So no, we don't get that forever home when we're 30. We get forever home when we're 45, but at least it's the home we've always wanted. So this looks like YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will receive buffering. All right, you'll receive a little buffering, but I think I'm still going. Let me look. All circuits are a go. Okay, I'll keep going. Riri, how can we contact you? I'm going to put this down. If people want to work with me, they can sign up for a strategy session. You fill this out and you'll get routed. So it's affordablerealestateinvestments.com/details, and I just wrote it downstairs. So that is help, and I talk to people every day about this. Martisha Patterson, I was there but moved over here. Oh, you were in Charlottesville? This place sucks. They're so segregated. It took me a minute to realize it because they're so polite about the segregation. But they're like, oh no, they're just polite, so like nothing happens. Another story. I read that I read an article that they're very yes sir, yes ma'am, they're very courteous. And I read a story that like in places where they have a big culture of honor and respect towards people, they usually had to build that because people would like die easily if you disrespected someone. So like out in like Japan, they were saying when you're a samurai, if someone looked at you wrong, like a samurai could just kill you. And so they have all this culture of like respect and this and that. Because that's what's born out of it. It's just an interesting fact because they're really respectful and friendly here and polite, but they're not your friends. I swear, I do not like it in the South. It's not for me. And the different parts of the South are different. I don't like the places where they try to be classy because that's just, not my style. I can go into it if you ask, but. Arthur Faison said, Lisa, how does one become one of your clients and do coaching from scratch? I can find the 15K. And I have above an 810 credit score. First of all, Arthur, congratulations on your 810. That is amazing. Okay, everybody. All right. I'm proud of you. Shoot, I only have a 740. So good for you. And I just put a link. It's affordablerealestateinvestments.com. And I'll put it in the description as well, /details. And you can go ahead and fill out that application and get it scheduled to talk with me if we can go over your investment goals. So Joel Daines says, I missed the first half. What do you look for when prospecting for a house in the hood? What different elements that stand out? I don't look for anything in the hood. Is it possible to rent it out if you have a grant from the First Store program or other yeah, you can get a grant and still do Airbnb. Right? And then that's like if you want to do that. If you want to fully rent it out, just read the rules. They'll tell you 2 years, 3 years. They'll be really quick to tell you that. They're real quick to X investors out, right? And I understand because all investors are really honorable or ethical. So, and some are greedy. I'm not, but some are. So I understand. So they'll let you know. Ariel. Red Sox fan. Adult people don't want to own a house until the price of home increase or until they realize how it will affect their retirement. Yeah, I don't know. In certain places, you just don't want to own, It's just so expensive. Ephraim Whiteton. Hey everyone. Did you say 10,000 a month from a downstairs unit? A year, Red Sox fan. A year. Sunshine says, thank you. Red Sox fan, love your channel. What's the best ROI in rentals in your opinion? We get 30% a year on our return on investment. So if we put $50,000 dollars down, we're making at least 10 to 15,000 a year in revenue. So Joel Days, do you aim for cash flow with debt? Where you will always have debt, like Grant Cardone? Yeah. So, I mean, if you have the money, let's buy the house outright in cash. I was talking to someone today who was selling their house who had equity because it's not their forever home. We don't have the luxury of that, so put it out of your head, okay? I hope you guys got that point. Who has 80K, and we're talking about, well, we can buy where she lives. She can buy 150K duplex and then use the other money to slowly acquire with the mortgage. So yes, you can do cash flow with that. That's fine. And then like my clients do, because we get houses in the 30 to 50K range, then we'll pay it off over the next 3 to 4 years, right? So there is a game in which you acquire and then pay off. And so I'd like to say everyone I work with is on a 10-year plan. This 30-year plan is not for us, 30 years and then get a retirement. No. 10 years to do what you want, and then you have the freedom to do whatever you want. And I've been in this game for 9 years, and I'm in a pretty good place, people. You gotta trust me. We just need a little bit of breathing room so we can go out and do what we're here to do, which is, our bigger purpose. Oh, Martisha, you're on Periscope. Good, I'm glad you jumped on over. What sector of the rental market? What do you mean by sector? Financially, the demographic we work in is $30,000 to $50,000 house. I don't know. The houses we look for offer the best returns. I don't know what you're asking. I mean, you put all caps, but what do you mean by sector? From where I got my 401k ready, I'm ready to put. Yeah, and here's the deal about the 401k for our community. And again, there's people who are like, don't touch your 401k. Listen, like that works for you because you have generational wealth, right? Or even if you don't, you have other privileges that, I'm more than happy to lay it out. You might have privilege where you get hired faster. You don't get not hired or interviews because of your name. You get promoted faster. You make more money on the dollar. Your mortgage application gets accepted 20% more than someone else who is African American with the same credit score does not by different lenders. These are all facts. So, you know what? Like, that's bad advice. So for the people I work with, they might have money in their 401k. I say take 10 or 15. I'm not saying take all of it, but you can take 10 or 15 and try a house. If you like it and you're making money more than you're making for your 401k, and the asset we've looked at is going to get appreciate quite a bit, and we know how to look at that to get that, yeah, take a little bit and try it out. And if it works, we can do it again and look and see what you want to do. Martisha said, I'm reading your book and love it. Thank you, Martisha. I'm considering the suburbs of Philly. Yes, but very early in the thought process. Take your time, and yes, that should be fine. Thanks for the answer. 401k is a trap. Now, I will tell you about my 401k. I have a solo 401k, so I can invest in most things are open as long as you're not ridiculous. So with my 401k, I have an account. I invest about $100 a month in cryptocurrency. So you know how Bitcoin is like down to 3,000 from 16. I buy $50 worth of crypto a month in my investment account for my solo 401k, which I self-direct. I buy stocks. You guys, if you haven't seen my video on marijuana stocks, I'm up 33% in 6 weeks. You gotta get these stocks, right? I buy like $50 to $100 worth of stocks each month with my 401k. And you can also, I haven't had to do this, but take a loan out. You can do promissory notes. Like literally, I write a promissory note. I gave money to my sister, who is allowed. There's some people who are not allowed, like your parents or kids, but your sister is. And I got 10% back on that. So a self-directed 401k that you can use to create your own investments is not a trap. Others, I think, is a trap. Do you invest in parts of New York? No, New York tends to be, the rents are too low and the taxes are too high. And so the cash flow is completely gone and it doesn't appreciate, at any rate that would make being cash flow negative worth it. Akunusi Montunrayo? Okay. Can I get 8 to 10 unit rental property in 2 years if I raise 10K every 90 days? Yeah, you can. Some of my clients do it. I have some clients who have like 100K and we like blast it out, like we just get as many as we can. Self-directed IRA and 401k. Yes, I would say I don't like my self-directed IRA. I dissolved that. I think I rolled it into my 401k because the self-directed IRA, I couldn't deduct because of adjusted gross income. I could not deduct um, any of the money contributions, and it was just more limited. A self-directed 401k, you really have control, but a self-directed IRA, like I needed a custodian, and the custodian costs charged like $75 to $150 anytime they did anything, so it was annoying. I'm like, deposit this. They're like, okay, $150. I'm like, get out of here. So with it not being deductible and the cost for the custodians to do all the work, I did not like the self-directed IRA. But solo 401k, which is for if you have a small side business, you can put money there. You can deduct up to $53,000 a year in income. Earned income and partner sharing contribution, which is huge and significant. So I like my solo 401k. So I'm going to get out of here, guys, because my daughter is coming. My cute little 2-year-old daughter loves mama. And so if I'm here doing this, she will crash this place. She will crash it, look at you, and bang on the laptop. So if you ever want to work with me, go down to this page, go to affordablerealestateinvestments.com/details, or fill out a strategy session application. It'll route you to where you need to go. And I talk to people every day. I love doing it because it's a gift if I can give this to as many people as possible. I love working with people on this because there's so many things that you do this every day. You just get experience, and okay, this is how this is going to affect your decision. And when you can give that to people ahead of time, then all of a sudden you're in a much better position. You want to see her? You want to say hi? There's 29 people on YouTube watching. All right. So, I will let you guys go. But yeah, if you want to work or talk to me, I do it every day. It's really fun, and I attract amazing, wonderful, powerful people to me who are on their business, and they are buying, and they're selling. They're doing it so well. Oh my gosh, I can tell you about Phil up in New York. Oh my gosh, I was working with him for a week, and we found this wonderful, 2 duplexes. He's in New York City. 2 duplexes for $50K each. And so he's buying both. And it's ridiculous. Cash houses are in good condition. I mean, a steal. And he's just like, that was so easy. I was like, I know, right? Just how it is with my clients. But it's a gift. So, spiritual gift. This is from heaven. Talk to you. Oh, and what's this? $10. Oh, Arthur. Thank you. Thank you for the reply. I read your book. Was amazing. I'm also on episode 103 and appreciate all you do. I'll reach out to you tonight. Yes, I'm looking for you. Super appreciate that. Letitia, she's a CFP and would love to connect with you. Yes, ma'am. Let's do it. And what are your thoughts on non-traditional funding for purchasing property ex venture capital companies? Those usually want you to do much bigger deals, but if you can cobble it together and definitely for a bigger apartment complex deal, where you need hundreds of thousands of dollars, but your payoff is, tens of thousands of dollars a month. Yeah, absolutely. You just need to make sure it's a market that works, it's a market that's going to appreciate, or it's not losing in value. You're just set up situationally, so whatever house you property you get, it's going to be conducive in the long term. So with that, thank you so much. Okay, that's my baby. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go. I'll try to be on. So I'll do one in my Facebook group and I'll do one here on YouTube. So you guys seem to be separate audiences. If not, I'm gonna put a link to my YouTube group. Sometimes they're the same. Sometimes they're different content. I don't know. I know it's just what I feel I need to really say to you guys today to help you guys out, or something I see going on. I'm like, we can't do it like that. We got to make money. And I swear, I just got to say that if you just listen to me, we can do this. All right. So throw it away. It's not your forever home. If you're in your 30s and 40s, get your primary investment home. That's what I want to start thinking of it. I'm buying a primary investment home. I know I'm not going to be here forever. I'm looking to make sure it's undervalued. I'm looking to make sure that if I ever need to rent it out, I can cash flow. That is what I want you guys. And that is how I was thinking. But every single time I have made money, 3 years later, I have made money. 4 years later, we have to do that. And I want us to start sitting on all that equity so we can start making those big money moves just by being a little bit smarter than everyone else, because understanding we don't have the privilege of money's just not going to come to us. We got to make it, but you can do it. Is that your kids? Yeah, that is my baby. She's a cutie pie. Very, very strong personality. My daughter is, and I love it. I make her say, in the mornings, I make her look in the mirror and go, I am worthy. The world is a better place because I'm in it. And she sort of half mumbles it, but you got to make sure that confidence stays up there. Something we're not going to shy away from anymore. And with that, I'll let you guys go. Bye. Hope this was worth listening to. See ya.